Hey guys, welcome back. In this video we're going to do number 12. Kathy wants to determine the height of a flagpole shown in the diagram below. She uses a survey instrument to measure the angle of elevation to the top of the flagpole and determines it to be 34.9 degrees. She walks 8 meters closer and determines the new measure of the angle of elevation to be 52.8 degrees. At each measurement, the survey instrument is 1.7 meters above the ground. Determine and state to the nearest tenth of a meter the height of the flagpole. So I'm going to call the flagpole X. Okay, so here the key is to use SOHCAHTOA. And we're going to use that with two triangles. First, let's use it with this one. Okay, and this is our right triangle, so that means that we can use SOHCAHTOA. So we're going to use the opposite side, and we're going to use that side over here too. So I'm going to call that just Y, because we can't call it X anymore because we're using X to show the flagpole. So let's do SOHCAHTOA. So here's your angle. This side we're going to call it opposite because it's opposite of the angle. And this side is either the hypotenuse or the adjacent side. It has to be the adjacent side because that side is the hypotenuse. So opposite and adjacent, look at your SOHCAHTOA, which one has O and A in it. Not this one, not this one, this one. This one has opposite and adjacent, so it's going to be tangent. So we're going to say tangent of 52.8 is equal to opposite over adjacent, right? Opposite over adjacent. So opposite is X and adjacent is Y. Okay, and we're going to leave it alone for now. Now the second triangle we're going to work with is this bigger triangle over here. So we're going to use this side. We're going to use that hypotenuse and this bottom side over here. Okay, so here is your angle. We're going to use X, which we're going to label opposite again. And then in this triangle, we're going to use this side, the bottom side. And the bottom side is going to be called the adjacent side. But that bottom side is actually 8 meters plus that length, which we said is Y. So it's going to be Y plus 8. Okay, so let's set up the ratio. So it's going to be tangent again, because we're working with the opposite side and the adjacent side. So opposite and adjacent, that's tangent. Tangent of 34.9 equals opposite over adjacent, which is Y plus 8. Okay, now what we should do is let's cross multiply. So here I'm going to put this over 1, and we're going to cross multiply, so we're going to get X times 1 is equal to X, and that's equal to Y times tangent of 52.8. Okay, and I'm going to circle this equation, and you'll see in a moment why I'm going to do that. Here we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put this over 1, and then cross multiply. So we got 1 times X is just X. And then here we've got Y plus 8 times tangent of 34.9. So we've got Y plus 8 times tangent of 34.9. And I'm going to circle this equation too. And now notice that both of these equations are in the form of X equals to something and X equals to something. So notice that if this thing is equal to X and this thing is equal to X, if they're both equal to the same number, then that means that this is equal to this, right? That's called the transitive property. Again, I said it before, that like if I'm as tall as Mr. Mante and Mr. Mante is tall as Mr. Latosky, so if I'm as tall as Mante and Latosky is tall as Mante, then that means that I'm as tall as Mr. Latosky also. So I don't know if that's helping, hopefully, but we're just going to say that Y times tangent of 52.8 is equal to y plus 8 times tangent of 34.9. Okay, and now let's do this. So we're going to need to try to get y by itself, right? Which seems to be a little bit tricky at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how much is tangent of 52.8. So we're going to put that in a calculator. Okay, so we're going to make sure we're in degree mode, and we are, so that's good. So let's put in tangent 52.8, and it's 1.31 blah blah blah. Okay, so I'm gonna say 1.317. Okay, so that's tangent of 52.8, and that was multiplied by y, so I'm gonna put times y at the end. Okay, so I think that made it just a little bit simpler because we just have a number y. Okay, and here we've got y plus 8 times tangent of 34.9. So let's see how much that is. Okay, so that is point. Okay. So now that should make it a little bit simpler because we don't have any sine, cosine, tangents anymore. We just have a normal equation. Okay, so now let's see. On the left side, there's really nothing we can do, so I'm just going to copy this down. Okay, so that's the left side, and on the right side, we can simplify it a little bit because we're multiplying a number times a binomial, so that is distributive property. So we're going to have to multiply 0.69 blah 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 times y. So that's just going to be 0.69. Okay. And then we got to do 0.697 blah 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 times 8. So the good thing is that we still have that number on the calculator, so let's just multiply it by 8. And that's going to get you positive 5.58 blah blah blah. Okay, and again, I would definitely advise you to copy the whole number. Don't round anything until the very end. Okay, and now again we're trying to get y by itself. So we need to get y on one side of the equation. So we have y on the left and y on the right. Let's just get rid of the y on the right. So let's get rid of this. So we're going to subtract. Okay, so that's going to cancel out. And if we subtracted it on the right side, we got to subtract it on the left side. Okay, so we subtract that, and let's see what we get. Okay, so we do that, and we get this. Okay, and then on the right side of the equation we still have this constant at the end. Okay, and to get y by itself we need to divide by this coefficient. Okay, so that's going to get rid of it. And we need to divide on the right side also. Okay, so now on the left side all we have is just y, and then on the right side we just gotta make that division, so we're gonna do divided by this number. Okay, and y is 9.003. Okay, so we got somewhere at least. We got y. Now let's try to remember what y is. So y on our diagram was that piece over here. So from here to here, we found that length. So that length is okay. So that's that length. Okay, but they were asking us what is the height of the flagpole. So we got to figure that out. So to do that, we can set up a trig ratio. So we can set up a tangent ratio again. Tangent of 52.8 equals opposite over adjacent. And now we don't have to use y anymore for adjacent because we found out what y is. Y is this number. So we're going to use that number. Okay, and now we're just going to cross multiply, so put this over 1 and cross multiply. So 1 times x is x, and then 9.0 whatever times tangent of 58. Let's just do it in a calculator. So we already have that number in the calculator, so I'm just going to multiply by tangent of 52.8. And finally, we got to pretty much the answer. Okay, so it's very tempting to, put your pencil down and be done with this question because it seems like we got our answer. But we didn't really get the answer because x represents that distance from here to here. So that distance is 11. Okay, so that's that distance over here. But notice that the flagpole actually has 1.7 meters more to the ground. So we actually have to take that number that we just got, the x number, and we got to add 1.7. So we're going to add 1.7, and we finally got the flagpole. Okay, so here we're going to add 1.7, and the flagpole will be okay, so we got the flagpole, and now let's just make sure that we round it correctly. Determine and state to the nearest tenth of a meter the height of the flagpole. So here the nearest tenth is 1 decimal place, so 13 point, you want to say 13.5, but we can't say that. It's actually 13.6. Because look, after the 5, you got a 6. And the 6 means that we gotta round up, so 13.6 meters. Okay, and that's it. That's full credit. If you want to be like super thorough, you can just write a sentence. The height of the flagpole is 13.6 meters. Okay, and that's it for this question. We finally finished this. Thanks for watching. If you have more questions, let me know or speak with a classmate. I'll see you around. Bye.